Não é tempo técnico, mas é intervalo aqui no podcast. Já imaginou se seu time tivesse um seguro para não perder nunca? Pois é, isso não existe. Mas com a Zurich Seguros, quem não perde nunca é você. Na Zurich Seguros, os planos se adequam às suas necessidades em qualquer momento da sua vida. Seja seguro de auto, residência, vida e muito mais. Diferente de alguns times, na Zurich Seguros você pode confiar. Para saber mais, acesse zurich.com.br ou consulte seu corretor.
Sair da escola já com uma formação profissional no currículo? Parece bom demais pra ser verdade, né? Pois é. No ensino técnico do Senac, isso é possível. É ensino médio junto com formação técnica, que acontece durante os 3 anos. Lá, eles usam metodologia para projetos, desenvolvendo competências como resolução de problemas, pensamento crítico e colaboração, além de valores éticos e sustentáveis. Quer saber? Senac. Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino médio e saiba mais.
Enquanto você escuta seu podcast favorito, que tal dar uma olhada nos looks da Riachuelo para as festas de fim de ano? Brilhos, transparências, vestidos, conjuntos, temos tudo para todos os eventos. Aqui, toda festa começa com look.
The Athletic.
You might have heard us say once or twice or 30 times on the Race MotoGP podcast in recent months that we have a ton of exclusive one-on-one rider interviews for you for the winter. You can get these all in full by joining the Race Members Club and getting them all through our Patreon feed or via the website. But also, we're going to drop a few into these pre-Christmas episodes for you so that everyone can have a little taster of those as well. And this week, we're going to give you 2 of our favourites, Aleix Espargaro at the end of his Aprilia career and Alex Marquez on life alongside Big Brother Marc, both at Gresini this year and earlier as well. I'm Matt Beard, joined as usual by Simon Patterson, who sat down with all these riders for the one-on-ones during recent months, and Val Khorounzhiy, who, like me, has listened to and transcribed all of them. Simon, obviously you had a big list of riders you wanted to track down for these winter interviews. I imagine that the 2 we're doing today, Espargaro particularly lived up to expectations, but what were some of your favourite moments from this mad session of interview grabbing?
I genuinely really enjoyed both of these. These were 2 of my, without trying to hype it up too much because it's the 2 we're about to listen to, I really enjoyed both of them. Aleix, normally we get like 15-minute slots to speak to these guys, and because Aleix was a little bit time pressured or whatever, we only did 10 minutes. But he says more in 10 minutes than most of them did in 15, to the point where we could probably just run it at like 0.75 speed and no one would notice because he's got such like rapid fire, perfect English. You get like literally twice the amount of words out of him as you do out of someone like an Ea Bastianini, who has to be a little bit more careful and think about what they're going to say. And then Alex, there was kind of a very like a very early on agreement that we just kind of wind up his brother a little bit through, like that's the theme of the entire podcast, is just laughing at Marc, which I thought came across really nicely in what we did too. All of the, like we were just saying before we started recording, weren't we? All the best interviews have come from riders on Japanese bikes or riders who have had hard times on Japanese bikes at some point. I think that's kind of the narrative of all of these interviews. And it was just really nice to hear people say interesting things.
Val, you've worked your way through all these files, working on content for the website over the winter as well as for the podcast. What did you enjoy most?
I mean, I think I said in the work chat, and again, this is the episode we're going to go into, but it is true. I was like, Alex Marquez is a standout. I thought that was a really good interview, and it doesn't surprise me hugely because I've also interviewed Alex in my life, and he's a good chat when he's in the right mood, which he isn't always, because it's impressive to hear him speak about, and we'll get to this in the episode, it's impressive to hear him speak about not being bothered by the label of, brother of Marc. But at the same time, you do sort of feel that of MotoGP's riders, he doesn't get as much attention as like 80% of them sometimes, 75%. And it feels like that whenever Alex is being talked about, he's being talked about in relation to some other rider, whether it's Marc or somebody else, somebody he's made contact with on track. There's almost a feeling like his the book on him is already written in MotoGP. Like, he's not going to surprise anybody in MotoGP anymore. Like, he's the rider that he is, and that's that. And I can see that from a track perspective, but I've always found him a really engaging personality and a really interesting rider. But we'll get into a bit of that later.
And just to pick up on something you said there, Val, about, sometimes you get good days and good interviews and sometimes you don't. I think people might sometimes think that that's a result-dependent thing, that the best time to interview someone is just after they've had their best result of the season or whatever, but it's not. Like, they're all human beings. They all have good days and bad days. They all have jet lag. They all have days where they wake up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes you have to just kind of get lucky with some of them and hit the sweet spot where they're just in the mood to chat. Yeah. I think Alex was on this day. I'm not saying that he's sometimes a bad interview, because he's normally one of the good ones, but on this day he was clearly like up for a bit of a laugh and a joke, and it comes across.
Well, let's start with Alex then. On my notes, I was going to go Aleix Espargaro first, but actually, you got us in the mood for Alex Marquez. So here is Simon and Alex Marquez chatting a little bit before the end of the season about this year at Gresini Ducati and life being Marc's little brother.
Has this been your strongest season? I know last year you had the sprint wins, things like that, but as a consistency level, this year seems to have been really strong. You're always there.
Yeah, I'm always there, but I never can make the last step. So last year it looks like for the bike that we have and everything, we're able to win sprint races, to be more there constantly, and when we were strong, we were really, really strong. Yep. This year when we are strong, we are from P3 to P5 or P6. Yeah. So we are not able to make the last step. So I mean, it's difficult, because when you are coming from a first season with the Ducati, with Gresini, that you are able to win races and to be on the podium, you want more. But it's another thing, it's another situation, I would say, about bikes, performing and all that, and you need to accept it and make the maximum that you have, that you can, with the bike that you have.
You guys kind of got screwed, I think, this year by the rear tire, right?
Yeah.
like it looked like there was so much more to come, and then...
Yeah, luckily next year they will not put the front one, because for us, I mean, it's true, when you're in a factory team, you don't take too much care about which tire they will introduce. Yeah. I mean, because you know that if you have a problem in the beginning of the season, they will make 20 chassis or 20 things if you need to adapt that tires to the bike. When you have the last year bike, you are worried about that, because you say, okay, they will give to me the GB24, maybe they will introduce the new front tire, and if this front tire didn't work with our 24, you will be the shit sticking directly all the year. Yeah. So you are worried about that. So luckily we'll have the same tires, and looks like the 24 bike this season is improving. Not just the bike, I mean. Also the riders. I mean, it's just not the bike. It's like not Formula One this. I mean, the rider also have like 50-50 with the bike. Maybe in the past was 70 riders, 30, but now with more technology it's 50-50. But still, and we are lucky that we are in a sport that the rider is still so important.
And you can still make the difference, and I think that you've shown that. Some tracks this year you've been able to make the difference, and then you're right there again.
Yes, someone in someone you're struggling more, and the other ones make more the difference. So, I mean, is there that compromise?
Well, I think something that maybe, what you said about being in a satellite team versus a factory team, you've done both.
Yes.
You know what it's like inside Gresini, which is, I think, on the smaller, even compared to maybe LCR, with a lot of support. Like, you guys have factory support, but you don't have new parts coming every week.
No. I mean, you know what you have in the beginning of the season, in the first race, and it's the same things that you will carry all the year. I mean, if you are lucky, you will have some improvement or some update mid-season, something like that. But I mean, it's like it is. But we are lucky. What they say. No, we can start here to speak about the bike that this year with the 3 we did. We were not able to make the results that we wanted or something like that. But I mean, our bike is better than 80% of the grid. So we are lucky on that. I mean, we don't need a lot of updates, because it's still 80% better than. Yeah, it's true. It's like this. So I mean, we need to be there and not to think or not just to start to say no. The 24 is better in this, because then you will not going forward. So I mean, what we have is really good, and we need to finish the year in a good way.
So it's definitely better to be on a really good Ducati in a satellite team than on another bike in a factory team.
Can be. I mean, in this moment, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, not on the salary side, but yes, not on the performance side. That is what I'm finding too. I try to find. I mean, I was in Honda for 3 years. And you know, when you are in a really bad moment and really difficult situation, I mean, you don't lose the motivation because you do what you love.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not nice to ride the bike, to go on the limit, to have many crashes, and stop to the box and see you are 1 second behind or 1.5, you know, behind everybody. So I mean, that is difficult. So I'm in a good situation about that.
And at the end of the day, you're a racer, and race wins are worth more than the money in the bank anyway.
It is true. No,
especially in the moment.
This is true. So I mean, I cannot say about that because I'm really liking it.
Apart from the technical and everything else, though, it looks like Gresini is a good place to be. It looks like it's a fun team. It looks like, you know, the atmosphere is really good.
Yeah, it's super good. I mean, last year already when I arrived, I saw it that directly, but also it's true that this year we have a really particular situation. I mean, to have two brothers in one team is like everything changed. I mean, because the relation last year already was super nice and super good with everybody, but when the two riders are brothers, it's like another step, you know. So it's a step you cannot do more forward. I mean, it's the ideal situation, ideal atmosphere inside the team. So we had a lot of fun this year inside the box, and this is something that also helps when you are really far from home and you have 20 races really far from your family and from your persons.
And that must be like even better because you guys thought you were going to get that in 2020, then it didn't really happen, and now it's happening, but in a satellite team where there's less pressure and more chance to enjoy, it's like the dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, and the dream come true, you know, especially in Germany. I mean, that one was like the perfect thing that you can imagine. I mean, we're there on the podium both, so I mean, it's what we say. I speak with Marc, and Marc say, "Fuck, we are two in the podium. It's just 3 places, and we are 22. So it's not easy to be the same day in the podium, the same thing. So it's super nice, and it was like a super nice thing. I mean, it's what I say many times. I mean, in 2020 we lose that opportunity to share a team, and I mean, fuck, to share team in Repsol Honda was like amazing. I mean,
of course.
Honda with the Repsol colors will be always the ideal team that you have in your mind when you are a kid. But I mean, many times the life gives you a second opportunity in some things, and this year was super nice.
I think maybe outside of Spain, people don't realize as much, but like Repsol Honda to you guys you can't beat this.
No, I mean, it was something like when it was the possibility to go to Honda. I mean, the first option was like, okay, maybe they will move Cal to Repsol, we will go to LCR. And then I remember they asked to me, I mean, what do you want to do? I say, if I can choose, of course I will choose Repsol Honda. I mean, I'm not stupid, you know what I mean? Yeah, but the pressure there, I don't care about that. I mean, it's Repsol. I will go whatever it is. I mean, if you put all the pressure or something. So I mean, it was a funny moment with Alberto Puig that we were speaking about that, but later on they decided to keep because Luch already he have his sponsor with Cal and all that. So they decided me because Repsol also in Spanish and all that, and so it was the perfect situation for me. It was not an easy year, but it was the end a nice year for me because I was able to make 2 podiums and to be there with a nice bike, nice colors. I mean, I have at home in a special place that leather and everything because it was a really special year.
So the start of this year, you'd already been at Gresini for 1 year. Marc came into the team and came into Ducati, did you have a really nice opportunity to not be the younger brother for the start of the year, be the guy that was like bringing him in instead?
Yeah, I tried my best, but he started to beat me. So I lost my position there, completely. In the beginning I was like, okay, you will be not the old brother, we will be equal. But after 3 or 4 races, he was the older again, and I was the brother of Marc. So I mean, it's something normal that we make a lot of jokes from that situation and all that. But it was nice to have that nice rivalry sticking each other in the beginning of this year.
Is it frustrating always being the brother of?
For me, no.
Okay.
For me, no. I mean, from when I was really young, I mean, everybody, I remember the Spanish Championship and that, the brother of. I mean, and it's something like this, when somebody really small, also me, the brother of this. So I mean, it's something normal, and it's something that I accept really nice, because, I mean, every time it's true that the persons in the world know me more like Alex Marquez, but the easiest way to know my name is to say the brother of. So it's also something really normal.
But at least it makes it a little bit easier that you have 2 world championships.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it is. He have 8, so I cannot say to the people, I'm 2 world champion every time. No, it's like it is, and I accept it.
It's unusual circumstances, I think.
Exactly.
No one has ever been in the position that you're in before. Other people have had fast brothers,
yes,
but not been a double world champion and had fast brother.
This is true. But to one person come to me, you are the brother of. I mean, it's nothing that it's like saying to me you're stupid. No, I mean, it's something that's nice, and you accept it, because I think if I have not the relation that I have with my brother that is super nice and super close, then maybe can kick me in my ass, to say every time you're the brother of. But we have a really nice relation, and really special one, so it's not a problem for me.
You guys are still sharing the house?
Yeah.
Still together in
now
Madrid?
I buy it a house 5 minutes from his one.
Okay.
They're still building and all that, but we're there. We already know I'm 28, So again, it's his house, he's 30, 31, So it's the time to separate, not much, just 5 minutes from one each, but to separate and to have our life.
Cool. Look into next year. The GP24 looks like it works with the tires. There's nothing major coming. It looks like there's the chance to have the year that you should have had this year.
We'll see. I mean, for us, for independent team, always it's difficult to put like an objective or target before to start the season. You need to see how the other bikes and the other teams, the factory ones, they improve. I mean, because you will have, this year was clearly the best bike, Ducati again, for I think 6 years consecutive or something like that. So I mean, you need to wait until Sepang and the first 3 races to see where they are, the other manufacturers. I mean, to see if KTM make a step, if Aprilia, if Honda, Yamaha, and you need to after that, to put you a realistic target, because if we speak now or say, okay, I need to, if the level of the bike next year will be like this year, I will say, okay, we need to be in the top 3 every race, because it's like it is. It's like this, but I mean, we need to be realistic, and we need to wait until that point and to see how the other manufacturers are.
Because the one thing I think missing from the CV now is a win on Sunday.
Yes.
And it's, if the bike is like this, especially in the start of next year and things are a bit more normal without the tire change, that has to be the target, right?
Yeah, I say many times to Gigi and also Ricardo, his right hand, take some holidays, please. Take some holidays until February, Do not have time to develop a lot the 25, I mean. But we need to see how it will be. When you're in an independent team, the not normal thing is to see the performing like Bastianini had in 22 or Bezzecchi last year. I mean, it's depend a lot how the bike will be, how the other ones will improve and all that, what I say to you, I mean. So, I mean, the normal thing, if you think, you will be behind two KTMs, to Aprilia, to Ducatis minimum.
Yeah.
So I mean, you will be after that, like 7, 8.
Yeah.
This is the, in theory, the normal thing.
The position, yeah.
Yes, it's true that we have a special situation with Ducati, that many times that prevision we are more on the top.
Yes.
But this is the realistic thing from one independent team, and it's like it is. And every time we have more official bikes in independent teams and all that, so every time is more nice the competition, but more difficult for independent teams.
Fair enough. Well, best of luck for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I use the New York Times Games app every single day.
I love playing Connections.
With Connections, I need to twist my brain to see the different categories.
I think I know this connection. Look, Bath is a city in England, Sandwich is a city in England, Reading is a city in England, and I'm going to guess Derby is a city in England.
I started Wordle 194 days ago, and I haven't missed a day.
The New York Times Games app has all the games right there.
I absolutely love spelling bee. I always have to get genius.
I've seen you yell at it and say that should be a word.
Totally should be a word.
Sudoku is kind of my version of lifting heavy weights at the gym.
At this point, I'm probably more consistent with doing the crossword than brushing my teeth.
When I can finish a hard puzzle without pins, I feel like the smartest person in the world.
When I have to look up a clue to help me, I'm learning something new.
It gives me joy every single day.
Start playing in the New York Times Games app.
You can download it at nytimes.com/games app.
So that was Alex Marquez. Hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. Obviously, Marc is now leaving Gresini to return to factory ranks. Alex Marquez stays on and becomes effectively team leader again. I've always felt, seeing Marc at Gresini, that Marc was having the time of his life. It's fair to say, Simon, Alex is a great advert for the Gresini vibe as well, isn't he?
Well, here's the thing, right? We talked a lot about how, back before Marc joined the team, we talked a lot about how Alex was kind of the tester that he'd sent to get a vibe for what the bike was like. But I think more than convincing him that the bike was worth switching from Honda to, it was the team that Alex convinced him of, because Alex obviously loves being a part of Gresini. He loves that family vibe. He loves the atmosphere in the team. It was probably a fairly seamless transition going there from LCR, which is another team with a bit of a similar vibe. And I think it really comes across. He sounds like someone that really enjoys going to work every day, because he's surrounded by good people. He's surrounded by people that know how to have fun. He's definitely got, an element of no one takes themselves too seriously in Gresini, which is pretty odd at the level that they're at. I mean, both their riders were competing for race wins this year, which is an unusual position to find yourself in world-class motorsport. And yet, it sounds like a laugh. It sounds like practical jokes. It sounds like fun. And we see that as well. We see elements of that off the track. Or we see elements of it, like whenever Marc did switch to Ducati and to the factory team in Valencia, or in Barcelona, and was riding down pit lane giving Alex the finger because he'd beaten him in the final stand-ins in the test. There is a good vibe from that team.
Yeah, and this year they had kind of more focus on them than they've had for a while, with Marc there as well. Next year, there's a nice kind of underdog, under the radar surprise element here, I think, with the getting the GP24, a bike that actually works with this tyre.
Yeah.
Even less expectation on them. This could be pretty decent with the form Alex is in. Val, obviously we talk about, I can think way back to however many years ago when we were both working elsewhere, and how many times I headlined a Moto3 or Moto2 report in a kind of Marquez's brother way to get some attention on those categories, and kind of selling what Alex was doing via his relationship with his brother rather than his own actual merit. Obviously, loads of the chat he had with Simon about him and Marc and their life living together and not living together soon was great fun. But do we end up underrating and underselling Alex Marquez by talking about him in relation to his brother all the time?
Yes and no. I think yes in that, this is a rider who has had a lot of success in various Grand Prix racing classes. I mean, he won a Moto3 title fairly early. He won a good Moto2 title. It took a while, but ultimately he was a good intermediate class rider, and we've seen him on many a day in the Premier class in very specific circumstances, but in even circumstances, be maybe not class of the field, but pretty close. I mean, there have been some... It is actually kind of weirdly an anomaly that Alex Marquez hasn't won a Grand Prix yet, because there have absolutely been days where the performance and the pace was there for one reason or another. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Alex Marquez is some sort of underrated huge MotoGP gem, and that that his connection with Marc hasn't helped in certain ways, and that he's irreplaceable on the MotoGP grid. I like him a lot as a personality. I think it's really cool how much he and Marc cherish each other's company and just clearly obviously love each other, because this whole brother off thing would not come off anywhere near as easily if the relationship was even a little bit strained, but we've never seen any sign of that. It is genuinely like the most harmonious sibling relationship I can recall. And not
just in sport, like anywhere.
Yeah,
I just don't know many siblings that get on that well.
Is genuinely pretty incredible and very heartwarming, and they're always fun together. It does feel like Alex brings out the best in Marc, and Alex himself is just a really, really fun personality for me. He's not indispensable in MotoGP. This is a rider that you could replace down the line with a top prospect unless he takes a step forward, but he is also not like a rider to be totally dismissed, and I think some people may have ended up doing that on the basis of his Honda stint. I think some people may not realize that the days when Alex Marquez is good, just how absurdly good he is, and how much talent there clearly is that just doesn't, maybe is narrower than the talent of some of the top riders. But, when we go to a good Alex Marquez circuit, I mean, Sepang. We go to Sepang this year, and when I say this year, I mean 2025. I guess the 2025 season has started already, because MotoGP does things in a stupid way. Happened, so, yeah, but the 2025 Malaysian Grand Prix, Alex, is going to be in the mix, because the GP24 is going to be really good. There's going to be other tracks where he's going to be in the mix. When it rains, he's in the mix. I mean, this is a rider who, again, was he competitive in his rookie season at Repsol Honda? No. Was he suddenly competitive when the stars aligned, the wet race and the Aragon race? Absolutely. He was super competitive. He was fantastic. He was much better than the rookie had any right to be. So this is a rider of extremes, and it is a more interesting rider than I think maybe even we have been able to convey due to, time constraints, for instance.
If you want even more exclusive interviews with MotoGP riders, you know what I'm going to say next. Join the Race Members Club. You can find us on Patreon by looking for The Race. You can go to the-race.com/members-club. You'll get the full retro series we're doing next year, MotoGP 2015 Revisited. Simon's looking away as I say that. Oh, now he's raising his eyebrows sadly. Yes, we're revisiting 2015 round by round, starting in January. You get a chance to quiz us and throw questions in for the podcast in every episode. And you get to be part of the Race Members Club community, just bantering about MotoGP in the community chat all day long, with us dipping in as well. We really appreciate the support we get there, so please come and join us if you haven't already.
I should throw it out there that I have absolutely no problem with discussing the first 16 races of the 2015 season.
Well, we're doing the series in two parts. The first part will be rounds 1 to 9, so that's going to be glorious, and that's going to be increasingly foreboding in the summer when we come back to do part 2 of the series. Coming up later this week, as well as the full versions of the Aleix Espargaro and Alex Marquez interviews, you'll also get, in this first package, Ania Bastianini talking to Simon about why his 2 years in the Works Ducati team went wrong. Augusto Fernandez talking to Simon about why things went really pretty horribly wrong in his 2 years in MotoGP so far, but really good stuff about his hopes for life at Yamaha in the future as well. You'll have Raul Fernandez on, I don't even know where to go with Raul Fernandez in MotoGP so far, but he talks about it, and Lorenzo Savadori on life kind of on the sidelines and popping back in, and the work going on in his life as Aprilia's test rider and stand-in. That's in this week's package of Rider One-on-Ones with Simon. But let's play another one in this main episode now. As promised, it's Aleix Espargaro with a lovely interview about his whole MotoGP life, which he, amazingly, given all the thing that involves, does cram into 11 minutes pretty well.
Thank you for your time, Aleix.
My pleasure.
I guess we're at the end pretty
We're at
much.
the end.
We're at the end of a long journey.
Yes.
It's been a crazy career. It's been a career I think like no one else's has ever
Strange
had at
one.
MotoGP. A strange one, but one that got stronger as the time went on, which is maybe not so normal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really have an answer why, but yes, it's very rare. The normal thing is, to in certain point of your career start to lose some performance. In my case, I don't know why it takes so long to start to perform, but it gives you a better taste.
I guess part of it is that you never had the bike though. The CRT machines were not.
I'm agree, but I, it sounds like an excuse for me. When I would love it to be sure that this is the reason why, but it sounds an excuse. I had a good 125. I was too tall maybe. Then I never had to do a good 250. That's true. Then in MotoGP, for example, with the CRT I was very competitive, but with the Suzuki, the second season, I was not at the level of Maverick.
Yeah.
And I had a good bike at that season. So, in some stages of my career, this can be an answer, but not always.
So what has changed? What do you see has made you better as the years have gone on? Because
I think I didn't have the self-confidence. I mean, I changed too fast from one team to the other. I was never 2 consecutive seasons in one team. I was 18 years old and I was in MotoGP. So in 3 seasons I ride 125, 250, then MotoGP. Then I was the first one to ride Moto2.
Yeah.
Then I went back for some substitution in a Spar team in 250 again. Then CRT open. So I think you never build confidence. And Aprilia give me the confidence, the time, the love, and I perform.
And I mean, once they give you all that, the performance has been, I think, more than most people ever expected.
Yeah,
maybe more
me
than
too.
you. Yeah.
I always believe in me, but I mean, if you told me in 2017, I remember when I signed with Aprilia in Mugello, I said to myself, maybe this is the end of your career. You signed with the slowest bike of the grid. You are not a good rider. I was crashing a lot with the Suzuki, so I said it's difficult that it's gonna work, but it's amazing what we achieved during these 8 seasons. We fight for a title in MotoGP. This is, I mean, it sounds crazy still to me. We won races. We did many podiums. So this is why I say I'm very proud.
What's the best moment? Is it? I mean, for me, it's Catalonia. It's the win at home.
Catalonia is the best moment of my life. But I have to say that Silverstone, the first podium, was amazing.
Okay.
It was amazing. It was not my first podium in MotoGP, but it was the first podium for Aprilia for a long time ago, to a group of people that I love. And I remember that the faces on going onto the Parc Fermé, it was not the same in Barcelona or in Argentina or in other many podiums. That faces, that emotion, that was unique.
What is it about this team? What is it about this group of people that works for you then?
I mean, the atmosphere that we have here in Aprilia is unbelievable. It's the group of people, the human people that we have here. I think when you are able to go through the difficulties, it means that you are really good. And when you win, it's very easy, to be happy, to be good, but when you are losing, crashing, having problems, and they still believe in you, it means that they really love you, And there is different type of riders. There is riders that they just want to be professional here, go home, and they don't need the love. I'm not like this. I need to feel that the people that work with me really believe in me, and I felt this for the first time in my career in Aprilia.
I have to ask then, it came as a surprise that you weren't going to be here 2025. What was it about the offer? Was it the chance to kind of restart and do it again and take someone else from where they were?
It was a mix of things. I have a feeling inside, it's difficult really to describe, but I have the feeling that Aprilia really excused me. I mean, I have no more energy, no more positive vibes. like we arrive at the end, and a proof of that is that they are changing riders, they are changing crew chief, they are changing the project leader. So it's like a signal, you know, like I give everything to them, and I need new energy, new things, discover new world, and I had this feeling from the beginning when I started to talk with my wife about the future. I said, whatever we do, I need a change. I need to change. Yeah.
And the opportunity for next year is pretty exciting one. You still get to work with Romano.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of positives. I know you didn't know that when you signed it, but there's a lot of positives about where it's going to go next year and what you can do with it.
It is a dream. I mean, when I decided to stop, I had the offer in 3 days. I mean, it was crazy. I said to Albert, what we're going to do? You know, I've been always brave and a little bit, how to say, maybe stupid is not the right word, but I said to Albert, I want to stop. I don't care about the next year future. I don't care if everything is signed. I have no more energy. I want to stop. So when I said this to Albert, he said to me, okay, now let's gonna see what we can do. And he said to me, we talked with Yamaha, we talked with Honda, we talked with Aprilia, and said, Honda said that whatever you want, they want you. And for me to hear that was like a big present of my career, you know. And it was very, very, very easy to arrive to deal, and you know, to arrive to the best team in the world is a dream.
So I'm glad you said this, because I'm not going to call you stupid, but but we say in English that you wear your heart on your sleeve.
Exactly,
You're a passionate person.
Like
and you are more than anyone else in this championship like that. But I think it's made your career harder as well.
Yeah, but it gives me a different value. I think that the people, the fans, the journalists, this is my feeling, the crew chief, the technicians, really want to listen. If I want to talk, they really want to listen to me. In terms of the exposure that I have is sometimes double than another rider has been world champion 3 times.
Yeah.
And I think this is, it caused me a lot of problems. But when I say something, it's because I really believe, you know, that is true. And I think in today's world, it's difficult to find people like this. And I think that people likes it.
Does that mean that we have to try and find a position for you, not just as a test rider in MotoGP? Because like already for us as journalists, if we have a question about safety in particular, we go to you and ask, because we know you'll care. Next year, we're not going to have that.
Yeah.
Does that mean that there has to be some way that we can still?
Yeah, I mean, I had a nice conversation during this year with Carlos Peleta about my future, because we have really good relation. We grow together in the paddock, and you never know what the future holds. One thing is for sure, I will not be riding until 45 years old or 40 years old. No at all. In the next 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, I would like to ride. I signed for Honda 2+2. So, but I will be, even when I finish this, I will be under 40. So I will be young, and we will see what the future holds.
On a personal note, apart from all the MotoGP stuff, are you looking forward to next year being at home a bit more time with Laura and the kids? Or is it going to be weird?
I don't know really. I just answer a question like this today, and in the summer I make after my announcement of retirement, I make many plans. I write a lot of notes of what I want to do, what I want to travel with Laura, what I want to cycle, I want to be professional, I want to do mountain bike, I want to do wheel cars or not. And in certain moment I said to myself, relax. I don't want to hear harsh and an idiot, but I can be relaxed. I already, I can relax and enjoy life, and we will see what the future is. But I don't want to make many plans yet.
For sure, there has to be some pro cycling though.
Yes, the only thing that I'm really curious is about cycling.
Yeah.
Because I would love to stop for 1 or 2 years, and then in 2 years try to be like professional cyclist, because now I'm really like tired. I want to be at home.
Yeah.
But I know that if I do this, I will not have the chance in 2 more years.
Yeah.
Because my age, and because once you stop, you disappear off the world, you know?
Yeah.
So if I have to do it, it have to be next year, and I'm really thinking about it. This is the only thing that it's heavy. Yeah.
And we saw Bottas at the Gravel World Championship, so that has to be the target, at least one of the targets.
Yeah. We will see. We are in contact with different really pro cycling teams, and we are studying options because also in the last weeks I received the calendar of the testing program of Honda. Is crazy, absolutely crazy. So I want to be really professional with this new job in Honda. So I don't want to clash, and we have to see.
And finally, because I can see the guys looking to talk to you, how do you want your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be? How would you like to be remembered in MotoGP?
It can sound strange, but I would love to be remembered as a good person. I know in some stages of my career, I can feel that I am like a bastard with the incidents that I had in India or with Morbidelli, but I believe that I'm a really good human. Hundreds of riders has been much better than me in terms of podiums and victories, and I don't really care about this. I'm very happy about my victories in MotoGP, but even if I didn't make it, I will love to be remembered as a good human, a good person.
So Simon, is he going to be remembered as a good human? Is he going to be remembered as a bastard?
I mean, he should be remembered as a bit of both, because he is a bit of both. That's kind of, I feel like that's kind of the whole takeaway from the bit where we talked about legacy, is that he knows he's a bit of a bastard. He knows that sometimes he rubs people up the wrong way. He is unintentionally very, very good at that. Because he wears his heart in his sleeve. But the flip side of being someone that's very passionate and wears their heart in their sleeve is that they are actually quite a likable character at the same time. And I think that also at least comes across as his intention. We've talked about this quite a bit, about how the most important thing we're losing from MotoGP with Aleix is a definitive go-to loud voice on safety issues.
Yeah.
And that has been something that he has been by far the kind of the loudest speaker about. And the championship is going to be a little bit weaker and a little bit more dangerous without him there to shout and scream about that next year. And I think that all ties into this thing that he's trying to do with convincing us that he does wear his heart in his sleeve, but his heart's in the right place.
Yeah, that is the thing. For as much as you might disagree with Espargaro at times, and to be honest, I'm not sure I often have, some of the on-track incidents that he's been involved in maybe, and some of the spats he's pulled around those, at least everything he says he fully means. There's no pretense. It's all real, and you've got to respect that. By the way, if you want a lot more of our opinions on Espargaro, he is the subject of one of the videos on our newish YouTube channel, the Race Moto on YouTube. What was the title of that video? It's something glorious, isn't it? MotoGP will miss its divisive teammate destroyer, and that covers all of Aleix's career and the bizarre journey he's really had from not really anybody of note outside MotoGP to being CRT hero, then works rider, then somehow with Aprilia having his greatest days. Speaking of that strange start to his career, though, Val, is interesting. He referred back, the way he kind of puts himself across, he's so aware that there are other riders who are more naturally talented than him, and he's kind of slogged his way up. What did you make of his description of his kind of rise and pre-MotoGP times?
Yeah, I'm not sure I believe that talent thing generally. Like, I'm not, I know that he said that, other riders have been more talented, but nobody has worked the hardest. And I can't compare their effort levels, but I think that's selling Aleix short. And I think even Aleix, when he thinks about it on a different day, probably thinks that's selling him short, isn't it? I'm a bit of a maximalist when it comes to that. For me, a rider's always as good as they are good forever, and they've they never really changes as the circumstances and like something here, something there, etc. Nobody is a total scrub at the beginning of their career and a legend at the end. I just don't believe that kind of thing happens. I think too much was made of Aleix's record in 125 and 250, and I think the evidence of that is clear now. I don't think he suddenly just learned how to ride. I don't think he suddenly found a lot more talent. I don't think he suddenly stopped slacking off or whatever. He says he didn't have the self-confidence. I think what that teaches us is how much of it is circumstance and continuity and just, having the budget and having the faith around you and just, catching the right break at the right time, getting into the right circumstance at the right time. I wonder how many riders we have in Moto2 right now that actually, if you put them in the right team in MotoGP, they can do a job. Because, sometimes people get written off for a bad half a season, for a bad season and a half. Sometimes they come in and they underwhelm a little bit. Sometimes they hit a rough patch. Sometimes they're Fabio Quartararo. They come in as, the next big thing, and that's gone in 4 years, just completely dashed. And then now we know that actually it was still in him all along, because of course it was. It never totally goes away. I think Aleix, even though he wasn't a reclamation project, because nobody really knew that he could be this good, but he is also our great argument for reclamation projects. If you see something, that little bit of something, there is always a chance of extracting it. And Aprilia has done that with Aleix. Suzuki too has done that a little bit with Aleix. And all I'm trying to say is clearly somebody will do that with Maverick Vinales too. That was the whole point of this speech.
Maverick's day will come. I think the important context for a lot of Aleix's early career is that he did it in the days of 125 and 250, not the days of Moto2 and Moto3, where the difference between the bikes at the front of the grid and the bikes at the back of the grid makes the difference between the Ducati and the Honda, look even smaller. Like there was massive differences in equipment level between even the same manufacturers back then. And if you were in a bad 250 or a bad 125, you just didn't feature. You just weren't there. And maybe the reason we forget that is because Moto2 and Moto3 has kind of democratized that a little bit. But Aleix is the last guy standing. He's the last guy that came from 125s and 250s to be a MotoGP rider, and will be the last guy ever to have done that, I think. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just a little bit of context that's maybe worth chucking in whenever, he's kind of dissing his own natural talent at an early age.
Yeah, and I think as well, when he talks about natural talent, the thing that bugs me a little bit is, in some ways, he's the most raw natural talent on the grid, looking at the fact he got his big MotoGP break, his big chances through being so good on that CRT bike. His margins over almost every other CRT bike, except Randy DePunier at the time, were just ridiculously big, and that was because he was just flogging the life out of this nothing bike with nothing to lose. And that's not hard work that's doing that. The hard work with Aprilia I totally get, but that just shows there was a raw ability there and a willingness to make the most of a situation. I think a lot of people on those CRT bikes probably got dragged down by the hopelessness of it a bit more, or were just, in some cases, probably just content to just be in MotoGP at that point. But Aleix was on an absolute mission on those bikes, and it was he made that whole class feel relatively respectable at a time when it really was just grid filler. And I loved him for it. I never imagined him being a championship contender one day. I definitely didn't imagine that with the Aprilia factory team at the time, but yeah, what a great story. And thank you, Aleix, for sharing it with us in that way. And thank you, everyone who has given us a one-on-one for the podcast over the winter, and all the teams who facilitated that as well. Next week, we're back with more clips from these interviews. We're focusing on everyone who rode a Japanese factory bike in MotoGP in 2024 next week, but they've got some very different stories around them.
The Athletic.